Have you had the issue where your game warps are working when you play in the game builder, but when you go to play the game in the arcade, those warps no longer work? Here are 5 reasons why that could be happening and how you can fix it. The game you are warping to has not yet been published to the Bloxels arcade. This is the main reason why your warp is most likely not working when playing in the arcade. Every single game that you warp to within your game also has to be published to the arcade. If it only exists in your game library, it is still considered in development and cannot be accessed by other players. Even if your game is set to private, all linked games must be published in order for the warps to work properly. Make sure all related games to your warps are published and you should be good to go. The second most likely reason that your game warps aren't working is because you did publish the game, but the game has not yet been moderated by a Bloxels team member. Every game that is published to the arcade has to be moderated before it is playable and searchable. You can check the moderation status by clicking My Games. Any game that is still pending review will have a message that says awaiting moderation. Games can take up to 24 hours to be approved by Bloxels moderation and appear in the arcade, so you might have to be a little bit patient, and we'll do our best to get your game approved in a timely manner. Another possibility that your game warp isn't working is because your game was moderated, but it was rejected due to some inappropriate or offensive content. Check your game to make sure there aren't any offensive or swear words or phrases in your title and the story text of your game. Once you have removed any offensive or obscene text or artwork, you can re-upload your game to the arcade. As with all games that get updated, it'll go through the moderation process again. Assuming all the issues are corrected, your game should be approved. Another reason your warps may not be working is that the arcade ID that you entered for your warp destination does not exist. It's possible that you made a typo when you first entered your arcade ID. Double check the arcade ID that belongs to the intended game of your warp destination. Confirm you have the correct number, then go back to your story block and re-enter the arcade ID. Keep in mind, if you're warping to a game that you yourself did not create, it is possible that the creator removed the game from the arcade, or it's being moderated or updated and may be temporarily unavailable. And the 5th reason why your warps may not be working is that you went to configure a story block to be a game warp, but you never ended up entering a warp destination. Double check all of the story blocks that are supposed to be game warps. If you find any blocks that do not have a designated warp destination, be sure to update the configuration and test it out. If you don't enter a warp destination, it will always warp to game not found. If your games are published, moderated, and approved, if all the game IDs are correct and it still is not working, please shoot us an email at support@bloxelsbuilder.com, as it could be a bug. We will look into it as soon as we can. Thank you for watching.